Hello, everybody. Welcome to our favorite shitty movie. Tonight is a first in many ways. We are talking about Elvis Presley's starring turn in GI Blues, something that he did. He was right out of the army. In fact, some of this was kind of shot, some of the footage was shot when he was still on a base before he fully came out. There was a huge movement underway to try to get Elvis's, I would say, perception of who he was. He was the bad boy and the rock and roller, and then he kind of got the military haircut, went and fought for the country, the red, white, and blue, and then they kind of Bobby soxed him a little bit. I would say the pelvis wasn't quite so wild in this one. He's a little bit more wholesome, perhaps, than we'd seen him before. But he's all Elvis. You can't take your eyes off him. If there's any question for younger generations who may not have grown up certainly watching his movies and maybe only know his music, you really should check out this film. So I'm very excited to talk about that. We have Tim Kirk, who's a novelist and a writer and a producer and a director in his own right, who's going to be here tonight, and he brought the movie. So I'm very excited to hear his thoughts on this movie. And it's another one of those films that I love about this show when we get lucky and guest bring films kind of from yesteryear. It reminds us that once upon a time our country was in a different place. We get to celebrate kind of Americana a little bit, and it's really hard to be angry watching this movie. It's how I feel about 80s music. Like if you're angry listening to like Erasure or the Pet Shop Boys, I can't help you. It's just feel good music, and I think I felt the same way watching this film, which was new to me. I hadn't seen it before. So I'm really excited that we get to talk about it on the show because it is a trip, which we're going to get into. Before we get too far into this, I want to bring up my co-captain of mayhem, the guy who pushes all the buttons, the Minnie Kubrick of the show, who does the Anderson Family Players. He's one of the great actors. And why are you guys all hiring him? Just FYI. He's multi-talented. He's very funny. And I cannot wait to hear what he thinks about Elvis in this cleaned up, wholesome version of GI Blues. Let's bring yourself up here, Soldier Todd. You know him as Todd Anderson. Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Hey, what's up?
What's up?
It's been a long time since I've been forced to watch an Elvis movie.
Oh, forced? That sounds so aggressive.
Well, I had a friend who he's left this mortal coil, but that's all he ever wanted to talk to me about was Elvis.
He was a
I like Elvis. I'm fine with Elvis, but I'm not Elvis crazy or anything.
Yeah.
And he would just talk, and he would play these albums and these bootlegs and all this nonsense and make me watch these movies. So that was the first time I saw this movie was with him. But it was
so how old were you?
Fun to revisit.
How old were you when you first saw the movie?
I must have been in my 30s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been decades since I've laid eyes on an Elvis movie that wasn't Kurt Russell as Elvis.
Which is an early John Carpenter collaboration.
Yeah, John Carpenter TV film.
That's right. And Kurt was freaking awesome. I loved him.
Yeah, he's amazing. And he boosts 3,000 Miles to Graceland a little bit too.
That's true. Another movie that I think is a gem that I can't believe no one's brought to the show yet. Between Costner and Russell, that alone.
That's a good shitty movie. It's very entertaining.
It's a great shitty movie. Rhinestones on those handsome gents. I'm all here for it. I think we need to bring the Rhinestones back to the program. Absolutely fun. Well, let's get into it. Let me tell you a little bit about Tim. He sent me a really fancy bio, so I want to do justice. He's an author of the Western novella Burnt, and which is a collection of short stories. Also, The Feral Boy Who Lives in Griffith Park. Tim, as we mentioned before, makes films as writer and director, including Sex Madness Revealed. I mean, don't we all need that? Come on now. The Miami Vice Incident, and the award-winning Mystery of the Durango. His producing credits also include Room 237, The Nightmare, and the El Duce tapes. And of course, Room 237 is a callback to our friends Ebersol and Hughes, who also made this introduction to Tim for us, who have been on our show and are desperately wonderful. And Tim and Mr. Hughes have been apparently best friends most of their lives. They were Boy Scouts together, which I cannot wait to have that conversation. And I'm so glad that they hooked us up with the very kind, very talented Tim Kirk. Let's welcome Tim to our program for the first time.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm really glad to be here and talking about GI Blues.
I am very excited. We should also note, before we get too far into this, that Tim, as an author, has a new book that's coming out. I love what you sent me. You said John Lennon was quoted as saying, Elvis Presley died when he joined the Army. All the Damned Mother's Sons, which is Tim's upcoming book, finds Elvis dead in 1959, a year before the film we're about to talk about is released, on the Army base he was stationed in Freiburg, Germany. The story follows four guys whose Elvis's death changes basically their lives in really huge ways, especially Billy Clover, who's I presume the head protagonist, who goes from playing guitar and singing in dive bars to being groomed to be the next king of rock and roll. But of course, how do you possibly follow in the king's footsteps? So if that's not a teaser, I also want to put into comments, so those who are watching this, unbelievably, Tim has hooked us up with his publisher, who has given us a special discount code. You can get a little bit of percentage off of his book. You should be buying and supporting people who are friends and do great work. So thank you very much for allowing us to preview this. Everybody, the link is here. You can cut and paste and do your thing. Tim, welcome. Tell us, first off, how did you, I mean, I know there's an Elvis connection, but Elvis made a lot of movies. How did you start by saying, I want to talk about GI Blues over Roustabout or Blue Hawaii, or talk to us a little bit?
Okay, well, with this book, I've been revisiting, I've been doing a lot of research about Elvis, and I've been watching a lot of his movies again. And this one I just got focused on, and it's partly because I'm just really intrigued with his acting in this film, because, you know, Elvis really wanted to be an actor. He really wanted to be a dramatic actor.
Okay.
And it's sad. I mean, you look back on him, he didn't get his chance, and that's mainly because the Colonel, who had him, you know, was his manager,
right,
who controlled his entire life, just didn't give him the shot. But if you know, before he went was stationed in Germany, he made two films, and one is Jailhouse Rock, and the other was King Creole.
yes.
And he did very dramatic acting in both those films. Some people would say he did overacting, but anyway, he worked really hard.
The great Billy Royal agrees with you. Blame the Colonel, because yes,
I would. Yeah, he was going for. He was definitely going for James Dean in Jailhouse Rock, and I think Brando in King Creole. I don't know for sure what he was doing there, but he was really good.
Yep.
So I don't know, and we'll have to talk. I think as we go through the movie later, like who he's really trying to play here. It's like comedy, right? I'm not sure what actor he's.
Well, it is, and it's interesting because I was really shocked about the revamped bad boy image to make him more palatable. So while they, you know, kind of give him that, you know, patina, the clean cut look, and I mean, who doesn't look great in a uniform, you know? But they're kind of all horn dogs. I mean, to me,
they're all so horny. It's the horniest musical ever.
My take as a good Gen Xer who probably saw Top Gun too many times in the summer of '86 in the theaters, I think this entire film is like the Top Gun sequence where you've got Tom Cruise with his friend Goose, Anthony Edwards, and they're singing "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" in the bar, try to get into Kelly McGillis's pants. Except this whole film is that punctuated by how do we get Elvis to sing like all 10 songs that are going to be on this soundtrack that went through the roof because Elvis. And I just thought, oh my God, like, but it's also, we should mention, a shot in Technicolor. And for those of us who, you know, I think are kind of like, what is AI going to do to our films and how are we visually changing things? The gorgeousness of Technicolor, there are colors of red and blue and green we will never see again in American film. And this, I feel like not only is Elvis so pretty, like I can't even imagine what it would be like to be the female co-star opposite him, because to be prettier than Elvis, I at this point in his life, I don't know, you know, the great Juliette Prowse, who is his co-star in this, does pretty damn well, but he's just so pretty.
Yeah, and he really is gorgeous.
Oh my God. But seeing them both in gorgeous Technicolor, for the folks who are, you know, kind of watching this, I mean, just look at this guy. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the kind of colors, again, look at the deep reds. I mean, he is born to be on camera.
He's 24 years old at this age.
I mean, there's actually scenes where you can see he has a little acne and this, and you're like, oh my God, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
So has Tim defined what a great shitty movie is?
What
I want to hear that definition so I can wrap my mind around how this.
Yes. And how by your definition of what makes a great shitty movie, again, this one ties into the Army Base, which is kind of a setup for the novel that you have, but you specifically wanted to do a deep dive in this one. How does it satisfy your definition?
So what is the definition in you guys' world?
For you.
Oh, for me, well, for me is I just really dig Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just thinking about him having just had this very similar experience of living in and we can talk a little bit more about the reality of what his Army life was like. But here he's now just stepped off of that reality and now stepped onto a set where he's pretending to be this person. And he is now living it. And
so for you, a great shitty movie is a movie where a guy plays himself, but it doesn't make any sense because it's completely divorced from reality.
In a lot of ways, yeah. That'll actually that'll take.
That sounds like a great shitty movie. Just like when I said
agree.
it,
And I think
that takes me a long way. I'll tell you, Todd. Yeah, it will.
But I think it's actually interesting because for a lot of us, not to turn this into a political show, because Todd and I can easily go down that rabbit hole.
God, no.
But for some of us living in the year 2025 of our Lord, it does feel like there's an Earth 1 and an Earth 2 reality. And so in a weird way, I think Elvis coming off of his own duty in the Army to then be reestablished in this role. And let's put some historical context, right? On this. I mean, once upon a time, we had the great Audie Murphy, who was like one of the great American war heroes, who then got to play himself in the Audie Murphy story, right? So Hollywood had a history of doing that. I mean, the great Jimmy Stewart actually came back a little less smiles after his service in World War II. We know that Frank Capra, we know that John Ford were over there shooting. Frank Capra doing the Why We Fight films, which if you're an American is great. And if you're just being honest, they're propaganda films for the American cause, but through the lens of the immigrant Frank Capra take. And so in a weird way, you've got Elvis, who was so talented, but obviously a construct in terms of the films and what Hollywood wanted to do. I mean, I think women adored him. I think men fell into either we want to be him or a lot of guys didn't like him. And so there was a
guys were threatened by him,
guys were threatened.
A theme played in the movie, this movie itself.
And to follow up what you're saying, Todd, yes, and I will film in this movie is when the Three Blazes, which is his band,
right,
goes to this scene. I think it's the second scene in the whole movie. Here they are. They go to play in this small club in Frankfurt, and they play their second song, which I believe it's not Did You Ever? Oh, it's Doing the Best I Can. And this other soldier boy is sitting at the bar, and he's getting bored. So he goes over to the jukebox. Remember this scene? He goes over the jukebox.
Yeah.
This is so meta.
This is a weirdest scene, right? And he puts a nickel in the jukebox, and there he goes, and there's it, and we see the close up. That's Blue Suede Shoe, Elvis Presley. So Tulsa, played by Elvis Presley, is there, and he gets interrupted by Elvis Presley. Yeah, and so then Tulsa comes over, Elvis Presley, and gets in his face, and then there's a fight. And there it is. So that to me is exactly what we're talking about, Todd. That's what makes this a shitty movie.
It's so weird because it's so meta when there are these little Easter eggs in movies. As a nerd, I kind of love it. Like one of my favorite, and they finally, I think thanks to Kino Lorber, we finally have the music rights because it was the disco record to end all disco records. Looking for Mr. Goodbar, the great Diane Keaton, Richard Brooks film. And one of my favorite meta moments until I saw this film, because I was like, this is an amazing meta moment. There's a bar fight where a fake Elvis Presley singer is like, oh, they're playing my real song. I mean, I don't even know how to process this. But like when you go back to Looking for Mr. Goodbar, you've got Diane Keaton, who's like trying to hook up guy, Catholic school teacher by day, at night, disco bar, looking to hook up and have some fun sex. She's sitting there reading a book when, young Richard Gere first comes over, and she's reading The Godfather, which of course she had just appeared in years before, and that kind of thing. Where I'm like, this is so meta. I go,
so great.
The idea that
we witness in this movie, that's what you're saying. We witness Elvis triggering Elvis.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm like, God, he's big.
I love that you had those photos ready. That's so great.
Oh my God. But I mean, it's so fun. And I also love, because again, we need to put this into context, right? This is 1960, but the way this is photographed, this is like a version of what you would have done in the Westerns. Like this bar fight reminded me of good old Marlene Dietrich and Jimmy Stewart and Destry Rides Again, that kind of like, boom, they miss each other by a lot, but it's shot in a proscenio march like you would have a Western, but with Elvis, and
totally.
Yeah.
Also, to follow up with what you were saying also, Tracy, about John Ford going and filming but this is more of the Colonel's. The Colonel had an idea for before Elvis went to the Army and after the Army, and his idea before the Army was, look, because the U.S. Army came to Elvis beforehand, and they said, okay, well, we'll have this cute little thing. You don't have to go. You just come and you play these little shows and all this. And the Colonel said, no, that's going to be really bad for your
yeah.
So they did this other thing where he was drafted and everything. So then the second part of Colonel's idea was this movie.
Yeah. And I think making him more accessible, because I think the Colonel probably also wanted to make him appeal to men. So guns, tanks, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's interesting because...
Wait a second. Is this what the musical Bye Bye Birdie is all about?
Yeah. Yeah.
God damn it. It's all coming together.
Absolutely. But it also, and I think, Tim, this too, because I love that you pointed out that Elvis's first two films, like he wanted to be a serious actor. I mean, this is like when Brando first, and then Jimmy Dean kind of, trying to be the next Brando and again, take it too soon, or I think absolutely would have been the inheritor of. Yeah. But, there is something about like image. And I think the Colonel had his own idea. And I think of, when it's about powerful men controlling stars, like I think of, like William Randolph Hearst and, the idea of Marion Davies. Like Marion Davies wanted to be a serious actress, and Hearst was like, no, you're a great comedian. You should do silly comedy. You should be light and lovely and an object of affection, because you're my arm candy. And there was a career there that Marion Davies could have had that William Randolph Hearst didn't. So once she started to get together with him, that career path left. And I always feel like when we talk about some of the great stars, like there are moments, like we've done a couple Burt Reynolds films on this show, as you would imagine. And I really feel like if you watch Burt Reynolds in things like White Lightning and certainly Deliverance, there was a serious actor there. But when you do Deliverance and everyone's like, you could be Oscar bait, and you follow it up with being the male centerfold in Cosmopolitan, it somehow takes the sheen off of a serious actor kind of thing. And then Smokey and the Bandit and Cannonball Run, that we all love as Gen Xers, you tend to forget that Burt Reynolds, The Longest Yard, his version of The Longest Yard is right. And so I feel like Elizabeth Taylor, it's like, she's so pretty, I get it. But when you see Virginia Woolf, that lady could have done a whole series.
You're probably not even going to touch on like late Burt Reynolds, like Heat or Malone.
Well, we love Malone, but also that he got to at least have Boogie Nights.
Yeah, that was his like comeback after Malone.
That was pretty good.
Eastwood.
Sharky's. I like Sharky's.
Sharky's was fun. That was early, but I'm more talking.
83.
He did a movie called, this era was the physical evidence era.
Right. Good
But
point.
I'm glad that let's lift Sharky's Machine, because Burt not only starred in that with the great Rachel Ward, he directed it, and
Right.
it's a fabulous crime thriller. And Victor Salva, like, I still have nightmares. I see that guy and I see like Bert's fingers getting cut off, and I was like, you're in grade school, let's go see that. I was like, oh my god.
Oh god.
But very fun. So let's get back to the plot. So, because it's about trying to sell Elvis in this new, a little bit less threatening, accessible, sexy guy role. So you've got him. I do feel like, and this is also interesting because you had mentioned about the service. The film, before it even gets started, has produced with the full cooperation of the U.S. Army and the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
Feels a little like that's how they get the free tanks,
I guess so.
But
there's not much in the film. I mean, there's that and a little later. And I guess he's supposed to be
and it makes the Army look like delightful fun. So it's great military propaganda.
To that degree, but you also get to have your, they understood the assignment. Let's get Elvis in a shower, toot sweet.
Yeah, right.
And they even do like the soap joke. Who took my soap? And then out of nowhere, there's like a vaudeville gag where a bunch of soap bars are thrown at him. I'm like, who's throwing soap bars from
it was like the light version of Full Metal Jacket.
That only Todd could have made that parallel.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this show. Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Anderson, I love him so much. Yes!
Yeah. And
so
Elvis's reality is that he wasn't actually driving the tanks. In his work, he was just driving the Jeeps. He was driving a captain around. That's what he was doing.
They wanted to keep him safe, is probably subtext.
And he wasn't living in the barracks. He was living with his family off campus, off base, with his father and his grandfather and all his friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in the morning, they all got up at 4 and had dinner with Elvis, and then he'd leave in a rented Mercedes limo that he had a driver took him to the base. Then everyone else went back to bed. His dad would polish his boots and everything for him. Yeah, but the grunts all liked him because he did everything else, and he bought a TV in their barracks, so they liked him. He had a different life than they did. So
that's really interesting.
So it's interesting because then you have the facade of perhaps a version of military service because of that. Because I remember there's famous films of him being inducted, and it was the newsreels at the time and things like that, and it added to his, kind of, he's fighting the good fight. But on this film, what I think is really interesting, two things I want to talk about is the proscenium arch of reality, but really shot mostly on Paramount. So you have shots like that are clearly backlit that are supposed to be, Germany and sets. But I do think we need to have like a real shout out for the colors of Technicolor and the idea that I love that Elvis's character in this is a real operator where all he really wants to do is be a singer and have a cool band. And he's able to talk his way into performing and then kind of screwing, this guy who is supposed to be his commanding officer, who's just played as a rube for the whole show. And
it's Sarge. It's Sarge.
Yeah. And I love that Elvis always bests him, like, "Oh, shine this, Sarge. Oh, I need $300." And he's doing like shell games with money, and this guy just doesn't ever seem to catch up with what Elvis as an operator. Yeah.
Yeah, he's barely a character too. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
They run right over him.
And I love that you've got, again, like the green lights, the red lights of Technicolor are very used theatrically throughout all the dance sequences. But where people are really here to hear Elvis, but there's also, like we were talking about, like this setup of all these women with the idea that they're objects of these guys' affections to have and control. And it's a lot retro by today's standards, but Elvis is so charming, even when he's kind of being a little bit of a horn dog. You like him. And they keep doing these cutaways where the women adoringly look, at Elvis singing, and you kind of get a sense of his star power. I mean, yeah.
It's interesting though. Remember the whole the whole setup is that there's someone a lot hotter than he is. Remember, it's like Dynamite or something.
Right.
And they actually, when they look for someone else to use, they need to find someone else when Dynamite can't do the bet.
Right.
Right, because there's a bet and they got to get Dynamite. And then Dynamite gets left off somewhere else. They have to get someone else to follow in. They don't go right to Elvis. They're going everywhere else, which is hilarious because he's clearly the hottest guy ever. So it's
ever. And then there's all these kind of very cramped oneers where you get as many people as you can surrounding Elvis because they really want to see him perform. So you've got girls, another one will come to the other window. And
the movie just full stops multiple times to have a whole song.
Yeah, right. A whole song.
Stops. Here's the Elvis song. That's what you're paid for.
It's so many movies. It's 10 or 11 songs.
Yeah.
And 2 dance numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's there's the Gen X version of this, which was Prince's Purple Rain, right? Where it was an excuse for that, and also stunning soundtrack, musical beat. And I would argue what I like about Purple Rain is it captures Prince at peak Prince-ness, as it were, so that those performances are captured, and he's going to be in cinematic amber forever at his peak. And I would argue a 24-year-old Elvis in this film, coming back from the war and embarking on the next chapter in his career, captures him in a kind of a totemic moment in our history as a country, but also him as he's on the ascent to become, this kind of even larger than life Elvis in a way.
And I think another moment that I find, another reason why I'm intrigued with this is there's a moment in Elvis's career here too, is before and after his going to off with this Elvis, Lennon was being snarky with that remark about dying in 1959, but there is the truth.
Yeah.
And before that, he had Lieber and Stoller for Jailhouse Rocks and King Creole. This now they've got this guy. These guys did Edwards and Wayne. They wrote this film and then the next 20 films or something. And sadly, I have to say, I don't think these films, the songs in these films, are as good as Lieber and Stoller. I mean,
no, they're not. They're pretty mediocre.
They're pretty mediocre, especially this "Did You Ever" song drives me up.
Did you ever? Well, it's bizarre, but it's setting up the callback for the last line, which we'll get to. But also, what I thought was odd, and I don't know if you're in your research, if you could find. I couldn't find the answer, but I was curious because he always has this incredible voice. But he does the worst lip syncing job I've maybe ever seen. He makes Milli Vanilli seem like they're singing. I don't understand it. But why wouldn't you have just let this man with his gorgeous voice sing in real time and figure it out, Les Miserables style? But he's like he's barely trying, or it looks like he's barely trying. But I'm like, just let the man sing. But
I bet you $100 I know why. Because
what's your theory?
Here's my theory: is that he was singing to what they had originally laid down, and then by finish the film, he said, "I really don't like it," and he went and re-recorded it.
Okay, that would make sense because it's so off.
Because what's that?
It was ADR that makes it look like he's doing a bad job of lip syncing.
He had laid down the tracks for him to lip sync to, so on set he was doing the right way. But then he finished. He went, "I really didn't like those tracks," because that's what he liked to do. He'd do stuff and he felt, I got rushed through this, guys. I didn't like it.
So he just changed the song and it didn't match the movie.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's also, again, for all the Colonel sins, and I think they are myriad. If you really cared about your star, you don't let that happen. Like you
Right.
reshoot, you want, I mean, back in the day, Hollywood studio, the Dream Factory, you shoot your stars to their best advantage. You figure out the best lighting, the best camera angles. And certainly if you have a globally celebrated, brilliant musical artist like this,
Right.
it's an odd choice, but in a weird way, there's an innocence to this that again speaks of a 1960. It's a different time. But if the Colonel really was like wanting to be like the Taskmaster, he should have taken better care of Elvis in this film. And that was my first thought, like, where was the Colonel that this was allowed? Because Elvis is better than the material, to your point.
I think the Colonel was on set. You know what? Yeah, he was on set for this when they were shooting it. But then afterwards, it was then when Elvis went into the recording studio, then the King was like, whatever. You know, he didn't want to be involved in that.
So interesting. Well, it wouldn't be Elvis if he didn't have the hot girls chasing him around.
Yeah,
And by the way, the fact that he's surrounded by, let's just give a shout out for how hot all of his co-stars are in this.
I know.
I mean,
wow.
This is a feast of really gorgeous people. But then we move on and we see they have a hall pass, and there is this woman. Tell us about the great Juliet Prowse and her role and character in this movie. Tell us, like, what is her character's situation? How is she set up?
Well, she's the target of this bet. I mean, the bet is that Elvis has to spend the night with her in her apartment alone, right?
Yeah, which is probably even in 1960.
Right. And so everyone has put all this money down. And Cookie, who's the second and most annoying part of this.
This would be Cookie.
Oh, right. There he is.
Cookie gets hella screen time. He's in a lot of this movie.
Also, I want to call out this dress, which is pretty much what Mila Jovovich wore in The Fifth Element. I'm just saying there's a little bit of a, kind of a dental floss nature to said dress. I'm like, girl, this is 1960. And she's like, I'm like, okay.
And the fabric wrinkles oddly.
It does. It does. But it's because she's supposed to be nude underneath, and in the close-ups, you're like, yeah, it's 1960. Everybody sit down. But
yeah. And she's supposed to be she's just the untouchable.
Yeah, but
right.
I have to say, like, what I appreciated about her setup, like, she is like the hot girl. She's like it's like if we were watching Showgirl, she's Gina Gershon. Like, she's like
that's exactly. I was just gonna say she's Gina Gershon.
Yeah, she's the star of the show, whatever. But what I like, because these guys are basically being horn dogs, but for a 1960 film, or at least how I saw it for the first time, she has a lot of agency that you don't normally expect. Where she's like. The rep on her is she doesn't sleep around. She doesn't go home with these guys. No, everyone wants to date her. She's not interested. I mean, she doesn't have to be. I mean, look at her. She's absolutely fabulous. And she's got, I remember she was, I think, from Indian and British parent descent, grew up in South Africa, came over here. And because she has the legs that a lot of people described as the best legs this side of Betty Grable. And Betty Grable famously had her legs, I guess, with insurance for $1 million back in the day when that was real money. And
I feel like we're objectifying these women.
No, but this is what's interesting. That's how they sold her. So she came to America in a Frank Sinatra film called The Can-Can. And she was the Can-Can girl. And she's the best thing about that film, too. That one I'd seen. And it's interesting, but I think the reason she had notoriety, because she was just starting, it was a Frank Sinatra picture, Can-Can. Mm-hmm. But there was this attempt back in the day, in the Cold War, that was heating up. Khrushchev, our Russian friend, came over for this ambassadorship to America, and he came to the Can-Can set because you had Sinatra, had this and that, and he saw this incredibly leggy, beautiful Juliet Prowse. And apparently Khrushchev, I probably was turned on and lost his shit and was like, America, pornography, she's too hot, it's inappropriate. And then all of a sudden this girl, this was her first starring role, all of a sudden her name was lifted because Khrushchev went all I don't know.
Shit.
And so then all of a sudden they were like, well, she could be the hot girl opposite Elvis in this. And so this is kind of like her follow-up to that, because she had and I just kind of love that, but there's an independence in her character as set up that I really appreciated. because of the era, it's a little unusual. She's the one that no one can bed but wants to, and she actually has a line with Elvis where she's like, what is it? Something like, you overestimate your attractiveness, and then she walks off screen. I'm like, no one's better looking than Elvis, and oh my god, that's so hot. It's like, and she's like, make work for it.
So what's the story? So there's a bet, and Elvis comes on to her because he wants to win the bet, right?
Yeah. And she's doing like that Bigger Boys before it was cool. And then guys hit on her, and she's like, pouring beer on their best customers. And then there's the awkward meet. And like Elvis is kind of playing comedy, and she's just kind of owning it,
Yeah.
She really is a very special performer.
Well, in this particular sequence, she's the straight man to Elvis's goof.
And look at these eyes. Like, you're in trouble. If a woman or a man ever looks at you with these bedroom eyes, like, just you're done.
Yeah.
Forget it. But she's so interesting. I think she makes him better in the scenes that she's playing opposite him. I feel like he gets to step up because
they do have a bunch of good scenes where it's just them walking and talking or eating dinner at a table.
And he takes her again, a day so cramped in terms of the proscenium arch of a cinema frame. But I can't help but absolutely love these two. It's old Hollywood. It's beautiful people in Technicolor singing to each other, and in a world that's so kind of dark a little bit for some of us right now, I thought this is so joyful. Is dating,
they're falling in love despite themselves, which is always a delightful thing.
And then there's a runner supporting, like, kind of a B story. I don't know that it's successful, but Tim, for people who haven't seen the film, talk to us about the kind of supporting runner with these two characters, because it kind of pays off for the climax of our lover or would-be lovers in the finality. Like, tell us a little bit about these two characters.
Well, it's interesting because I like this side. I like this subplot. So there's another girl there who there's another waitress at the Cafe Europa, which I love that title of the bar. And Cookie falls in love with her, and they end up messing up this whole apartment at the bed because she turns out to be the roommate of Lila. Yeah. And so that blows the whole thing.
You've got this crazy thing where Elvis's guys, these three guys behind him, are, to me, seem like stalkers. But they're following him around because they want to win their money bet. Basically, is Elvis going to be able to sleep with this lady or not? Is this not so subtle subtext? And so she buys him strudel, and they walk down, come to the apartment, and he's trying to do his thing. And I feel like the best friend, who in any part of the universe is absolutely gorgeous. I feel like it's almost like the Judy Greer role today. She's the best friend. Like, Judy Greer could totally be her own romantic comedy lead or whatever. But it's funny because you have, this whole setup. And then, to your point, this is the ultimate, wait a second, I was supposed to bring her here. No one knows these two gals are roommates. And so no one can get anything done. And it feels very, it's a sex comedy at this point.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it's funny, that's almost Cookie, who I really dislike as a character, but he's almost.
Good point, Anne. Anne DuBonet, Sinatra made her a star. Tim, the Salem Slot poster over your show. No, that's actually our background. That's Todd's background. But we do love.
It's literally a VHS copy of Salem's Lot, the movie.
The movie.
It was the compressed thing.
By the way, good eyes, Anne DuBonet. I
really dislike Cookie, but he's doing some really good scenes in there where he's like, oh, I blew it. I'm terrible.
He's doing the best he can with what he's given. And I do actually really love the scene where he's home alone with his girlfriend and he lays himself out on the daybed chair.
That was funny. Yes. Yeah, he was very funny there. And also when he realizes that he's just blown it and he's like, I'm terrible. I'm going to kill myself. All this stuff. It was really funny. So
yeah, it was.
Good work, Cookie.
There's also this unspoken, as much as they're kind of horn dogs, there's an unspoken, I'm your wingman. thing,
Yes,
which goes back to the Top Gun. It's a trope.
yeah.
And this is the Elvis Presley version of said trope, which is great. But then we go into, I feel like if we did this in the 80s or 90s or the aughts, we would have had like a romantic montage. Elvis really likes her. And again, celebrating the Technicolor red, the scarf with the car. I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful shot, even if it's processed, because we don't buy that background for a second, but let's go with it. And they go on this date. And one of my favorite moments, and I want you, Tim, to talk about this, because when I saw it, I was like, I rewound it and I might have watched it twice because I couldn't believe I was seeing a scene where on their date, Elvis Presley is serenading a puppet. Like, this is right out of Mr. Rogers, but it's Elvis friggin' Presley.
Hey, Tracy, here's a crazy thing. I have a clip of this scene.
You have a clip? Let's play the clip.
I just have to preface this by saying we obviously couldn't use the Elvis music for this clip because we'd get shut down. So I got a friend of mine to allow me to use 40 seconds of his song to recreate Elvis.
You're daring to recreate this moment, Todd?
Well,
oh my God,
Hillary of the Anderson Family Players does a great job puppeteering in this clip. I you'll see that. It's pretty great. And also, we consider him part of the family. But friend of the show, Steve Skelton stepped in to play Elvis, lip syncing the song that my friend Brad said I could use.
I'm so here for this.
Brad Zumbro, thank you for the song. Here we go.
Roll tape.
I've been over Taco with a vertical smile. I'll have a bend over Taco, if you please. I'll have a bend over Taco. Hold the cheese. Then I ask, how's the fever? Do you stuff it with ham? 'Cause if you don't serve the beaver, how's the bearded clam?
Oh my God, we are being canceled as we know it. That was fantastic. Music appreciation.
Bravo.
He really nails the Elvis lip syncing, even though it's not an Elvis song, because he's not heard that song before. And I was like, this is the song.
This is fantastic.
Brilliant.
You might have just leveled yourself up, sir. That might have been one of the better.
Yeah. I love them when they're it's just a one take. And then I just cut the ends and I'm like, I'm done as an editor. It's great.
Brilliant.
It's delicious. All right, so we'll go through quickly because the important setup has happened. Then they go after he serenades a puppet. They immediately go on some ride like Disneyland.
Oh, but I have to mention that he does the thing with the puppet, right?
Right.
And at the end, he turns more or less to the camera and says, "I'll try anything once," and he winks.
Yes.
That was a little weird.
Well,
so he was saying in that moment that he fucked the puppet, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my God! Like
fucked the puppet. Elvis fucked a puppet. That's what this movie.
Team America.
The main takeaway from GI Blues. Elvis fucked the puppet.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Team America.
But I'd also mention
later that. Yeah.
I will also mention that he has done it twice because he also did. Because he's done another song. He did "Puppet on a String." That's another song that Elvis did.
Okay, PD Ebersol. This is a real parallel here. As Tim has a very interesting background in puppetry. Is this part of his attraction to his favorite shittiest of this movie? Okay,
no, PD. Have something to do with it.
Amazing. Thank you for that factoid. Fabulous. And hello.
What'd you do in puppetry?
Well, I've had a long experience with puppets. But at one point, I put together a puppetry troupe to write puppets for a database, a Christian database.
No.
To write Christian puppet scripts for people to use, to write their plays, before the sermon, at your Christian, and so we wrote. I'm not kidding, probably 3 or 4 dozen worth of these things.
Oh my God, this is everything. Like I love this so.
All right, I'm watching that.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that's
So anyway, that was, and we performed a few of them, but mostly we just sent them out to the world. And our biggest one was called Heaven Needs Firemen, and that was about the 9/11.
Wow. Because I went to a totally different place.
Well, you would, Tracy.
Atkins.
Come on, Tracy.
Atkins in Heaven was a formative experience for every gay man and a lot of girls growing up. We were like, what? That's incredible. So basically, we go on this perfect date right out of Disneyland. They play this thing. They kiss, they whatever, and then all of a sudden, it's almost
like he won't stay on his side of the goddamn car. I'll tell you what.
I know. It's
probably insane. The best song in the movie.
Yes, because it's actually
Pocket Full of Rainbows. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And that one, I actually knew that song. I was like, oh my God, I know this one. I was so excited.
It was interesting, the progression of this movie too, from a person who's not into musicals, but I can handle like a musical movie, but not necessarily a movie musical. And this movie starts and it's working really hard to just jam Elvis actually playing in a band in numbers. Right. And then at this point in the movie, it just trips into, it's a full musical. He's singing with puppets. He's singing on a tram. Yeah. Fuck it. It's a musical, everybody. And I felt a little betrayed. I gotta be honest. He sings
to the baby. I'm with you. Remember he picks up a little toy piano at one point.
Yeah.
Plays it. Yeah.
And it sounds really good.
It's absolutely delightful. But they have this like amazing date. And then it's like in a modern rom-com, all of it would have been in a Van Morrison song. Someone would have run through an airport and it would rain. But now this is what we do. So we're like Matterhorn, puppet show, boo. And you get to this point where he's like, well, I had a great time. And then I'm like, why are you leaving? Like, what is happening? And again, Juliet is bringing the acting chops here. I just don't think we can be together. It doesn't make any sense. But what I love about her is like, she's, you know what? I'm a girl who has full agency. The show must go on, even if I have to dress like Mary Poppins 4 years before that film came out. Because I was waiting for her to bust out Sister Suffragette. But I was like, that hadn't happened yet. But it kind of had this vibe for me. And then you realize that Elvis is like, I'm going to try to babysit my kids. And
oh, shit, man. That baby freaks me out. I don't like that baby. I do not like it.
Because it's going to grow up to be Stephen Miller. That's what you
Yeah,
it's really a weird looking baby.
That forehead is unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
That subplot is just one big bummer. It's just not fun.
It's so true.
But how do you make a baby a bummer? Like, that's a feat, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, I'm not here to die on the hill for some cisgen white straight guy. I'm just saying that I never liked, even as a little girl watching films, this concept that men can't be great fathers and they just don't know what to do with a baby who's crying. I just feel like, come on, fellas, like you're smarter than this. But what I love is that he just can't possibly, I can fight a war, but I can't possibly deal with a child who's crying. Yeah. So of course he has to call a woman to tell it. Look at the background, look at the candle, the fake candles, the color palette, everything.
Wow.
Eavesdropping. I want this dress. Look at her colors. Fabulous. Yeah. And Elvis is basically like, I need you to help me because I don't know what to do with the child. And then they come over and I do want to draw attention. Look at the lighting in this scene. Like she's far in the background, is obviously like a proscenium arch, but she's golden and lit. He's a little bit in shadow because isn't that a metaphor for his character? And he puts 2 chairs together to try to make a crib for this child, which is kind of great. And they have this very sweet moment.
There's a lot of blue too. I bet this inspired James Cameron.
And he's playing the piano there. Look.
Yes.
He's playing that baby piano there.
100%.
That's the great sounding baby piano.
Which is funny because again, this is the Gen X Brian. I reminded like when Bill Murray in Ghostbusters first goes to Sigourney's Dana Barrett apartment and he gets And she's like, stop that.
Yeah.
But I love this, but there's this weird gag, and I was like, Tim, I want to ask you if you have a theory about this, because I had to rewind it, and then I did it still because I was like, I can't. They're like, you guys, it's like 1 o'clock, and I was like, this is like 3:10. This is 3:10, and so they cut to a visual of 2 clocks that are both at 3:10, and they're like, it's 1 o'clock, and I'm like, am I having a stroke? Because
maybe they're calling from a different time zone.
No. That's the bit was he was trying to pretend to tell her it was 1.
Oh, so a clock on his wristwatch and another location clock is set to the same.
Yeah, he was just lying to her and saying it was 1.
Oh, that cat.
Yeah,
Okay.
that cookie.
All because the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
Fucking Cookie. God damn it.
But then
Yeah.
there's this really cute moment where they're taking care of his friend's kid. She helps him not be an idiot and make sure the child doesn't, I guess, like die in their sleep or something. And they have this really cute moment on the stoop that again was shot clearly on Paramount. And then across the street, the guys who are stalkers, today we would call them incels, trying to get their money. They're like, yeah, dude, he's coming out in his light or whatever. And what I love, and when I say that, I think it's interesting. This woman actually has some agency. It's 1960 after all. So these guys are doing this. Elvis goes away, and then they allow a cut where Juliet Prowse sees these idiots across the way exchanging money, and she clocks it. And the film wants you to know that she clocks, these are his friends. Okay. And I'm like, that, you didn't have to include it. It still could have worked, but they chose to in a time that's interesting. But then hits the shan, as it were. And you've got his commanding officer, Rube, saying, oh my God, I heard that you had a bet about this poor woman and whatever. I'm going to, station you elsewhere. And by the way, I also love the premise that the military cares if you rape or attack women or have sex with women, because they seem to love that recently, but maybe in 1960 it was better. But then all is solved very, very quickly. Oh, this baby is the same baby I took care of. Oh, wait, he was just babysitting. Everything is okay. So then we can all get together and have a laugh. This is the deepest conflict I've seen since a Three's Company episode. Done, over, cool. And then 10 years before George C. Scott, Patton, we have this iconic Elvis, no one's hotter than Elvis moment, where you could tell, like, the leg, he's trying to not do the pelvis thing, but the leg can't help it. He's still doing the thing.
Yeah,
and then quickly we wrap it up where we do the thing. Then all is forgiven. I wasn't a cat. I wasn't saying I was sleeping with you. I wasn't doing whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's this moment, and this is the fade out moment in this film where Elvis breaks the fourth wall, as does she. And what's the line that we go out on?
Did you ever?
Tying back to the song we heard earlier.
Yeah.
Did you? Did you ever? Did either of you guys ever?
I haven't ever. I haven't ever that.
I guess I have.
I don't even know whatever.
I don't know. Did you?
Yeah, but I just thought, I was like, I've never seen a film that has ever broken the fourth wall and ends on that. That's like a Bugs Bunny thing.
Yeah.
So it's this weird, like, it's
this movie's definitely got to be part of what inspired Top Secret. The parody.
Oh, you know what? That's brilliant.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Todd's right. Val Kilmer even had Elvis hair in that movie. He was blonde.
Yeah, he was doing. Yeah, and Val Kilmer played Elvis in True Romance.
Right.
Yeah, another big Elvis guy.
Yeah,
So, again, Elvis for the age.
Yeah,
I mean, other than he's talking about he's saying DJ Ever, and that's the theme song from the movie. But does it have anything to do with the movie? I don't know. Did you ever? I don't know. I guess.
Well, it's almost like it's this great love story in spite of the gross bet, in spite of the gross guys following around, in spite of the gross sexual whatever in the first act.
Yeah.
Elvis, and this is the thing, when you're, I hate to quote, when you're a star, they let you do it, but maybe, because this is, Elvis is as written on the page. This is why we know he's amazing. Yeah. Elvis is written on the page is kind of an asshole that we would hate. And you don't feel that watching this because there's a sweetness and that you somehow trust him.
That said, Tracy, now that you say that, I would really like to see a shot-for-shot remake of GI Blues with James Woods in the Elvis role.
I beg you not to put that image in my head. Like James Woods needs to just.
Yeah, no, but it would be funny.
It would be
extreme right winger doing this.
I love that Todd. Hi, Todd. Jerry Lewis used to do it. And you're right.
Todd, one of the others.
But Jerry Lewis he was an attractive man, but the Elvis sex factor, he gets away with so much, and you don't ever feel. It's weird because it's like you should feel a little creeped out by the storyline, and I never did this whole time against all my feminist instincts. I'm like, I'm here for Elvis. He's so pretty, but I do feel, and I don't know. I think Juliet Prowse deserves a mention because I think she makes him better. I think he's engaged when he's with her in a way that he's not in other scenes. And I think that's really exciting. And I did a little bit of I'm like, what happened to her? And she has this, break the fourth wall. Todd, we just said that. I love that. It was so freaking unusual and amazing. But I looked up what happened to Juliet Prowse, who we lost. She died at the age of 60, I think back in 94 or so. And she was mauled by a leopard twice, and it was the same leopard. She did, I think, some ad, and he kind of mauled her and she was okay, but then she did and it was a kind of a skit for the Tonight Show when Johnny Carson was on, and it was the same leopard who had attacked her previously, and the attack was so bad that she had 20 stitches to re-sew on her ear that the leopard whatever. She went on, and again, this goes back to the earlier part of the program where she had the great legs. So for those of us who are Gen Xers, we probably remember Legs, Leggs, that came in the little eggs.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
We were still wearing pantyhose, us girls, and she was the leg model for Legs, and so she made all this money on the commercials for Legs after the leopard ear incident.
Make your money, god damn it. We should do final thoughts on this movie. Why
wrap it up.
Tim, why should people watch this movie? And tell people who aren't into Elvis why they should watch this movie.
Yeah.
I think you watch the movie because it is just pure Elvis. I mean, he's just a likable guy. He's right there. He's singing well. The songs are not very good.
And he's trying to be a little more mainstream and less of the bad boy, iconically. And I think if you're into old Hollywood, if you're into star transitioning and rebranding, this is an attempt. I think I would argue on some levels a failed attempt. Oh my God, my legs are my forte. God, I love Todd. Yes. But he's trying to do the best. And what I would say, what's weird about this to me is that I would argue that Elvis's lip syncing is so bad. It's weird because he's such a great voice, but his acting is better than his lip syncing.
But Tim explained why that happened.
Totally. I buy into that theory. I think it's right.
It's because he changed the song after he recorded himself lip syncing it.
But what's interesting, I think, and the reason I see this, because my wrap up is I'd never seen it before. I really enjoyed it against all better judgment. I think Juliet Prowse is extraordinary. I think they have heat together, and he's so pretty, and the Technicolor is so gorgeous. People might not notice that the framing is student film too high, and it's the direction I think is to be charitable tragic, but it doesn't matter when you have Elvis. And I was looking at how many of the shots had Elvis in the center and 30 people around him, and I was like, I don't see anyone but Elvis. And I didn't. If you have Elvis at this time in his life, it doesn't matter that you don't know how to frame. It doesn't matter that he's lip syncing badly. You can't take his eyes off him. And in an era where I think some of us miss legit stars, in case you need a reminder, Elvis in this moment, absolutely a star. And I hope that we get back to an era where we can do this again. I thought it was lovely, and I love that you brought it to this program because I don't know that I've ever seen this one. So I thank you because I had never seen it, and I really enjoyed it.
Well,
so,
thank you. I guess if I was going to go one closer, if you wanted to see an outlier of Elvis's career, go see Jailhouse Rock or King Creole. Those are better films.
Yes.
And he does better acting. But if you want to see what Elvis made, all of his other films that are like, this is the one to see because he does the best job he does. You know what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Yeah, totally.
PD Ebersol asks, is there any political parallel to Today from the plot? Oh, that's a really good question.
I don't know. Well, the puppets.
Well,
yeah, I got it. I know what it is. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as Dean Cain joining ICE.
Right. The worst Superman in history who doesn't need a mask because no one recognizes him.
There you go. There you go. I like that. Thank you very much.
I think that's a great question. And also it being a military story. You know what's interesting? God, that's a really good question. I don't know that
I don't think that there are any parallels.
I go back to my comment I made earlier in the show. I actually think the entire plot of this movie is summed up in the "You've Lost That Loving Feeling" bar scene from the original Top Gun in 1986, because everything is there and Maverick is doing his thing just like Elvis is doing his thing, and it's like a song of the era. Like I feel like there's some stuff there. What I love about Top Gun, famously, Tarantino used to tell this as a party trick, and then it was a line in I think Kicking and Screaming, or somebody should correct me if I'm wrong, but Tarantino does this as a stick, where his whole thing on Top Gun is that Kelly McGillis is like his boss, and Maverick likes her, and then as soon as she starts wearing a baseball cap and a bomber jacket,
or something
and she dresses like a dude, all of a sudden Tom Cruise is into her, and then you juxtapose it against the gayest volleyball scene I've ever seen, with all the oiled up men and Anthony Edwards, who keeps his shirt on, no shame, playing with the boys, which might be the gayest song ever, to the oiled up boys that are doing the thing. And I feel like there's a little bit of this. And one of the things I've always loved about Elvis, I think he's androgynous because he's so beautiful. He's more beautiful than most women, but I find him intensely masculine at the same time, which is why I think he's interesting. Like, he's got the Kinsey scale. He should work for almost everybody. But I don't know that there's a contemporary corollary. I don't know, PD, you're a filmmaker. Is there anyone you're thinking of, or a film you're thinking of? I can't think of one off the top of my head aside from Top Gun.
While PD is thinking, we should probably move on to this, because I know you.
Let's do it. Be bad, be best. Todd, you go first.
All right, I'll go first. So, Tim, Be Bad, Be Best. This is a movie that exists, and I'm asking you: is it so bad that nobody should see it? That would be a Be Bad. Or is so bad it's awesome and you got to see this. It's a crazy great train wreck. Mine, I try to pick my titles for these segments thematically. So I found this weird movie, which has a military subplot in it, called More American Graffiti, a sequel to American Graffiti. And if you haven't seen it, it's fine. You can still judge it according to what you know.
Okay, I'd say more best, because I saw it before I saw the first American Graffiti.
You did?
Yeah, when I went to the theater and I was like, "This is great!" And,
I love that.
And they did this cool thing where they did different kind of formats. Like when it was Vietnam, it was like a certain format. And you remember it?
I do.
Yeah. And I thought that was so cool, So yeah, definitely more best.
I agree with Tim. I understand it's not the first film, but I love it. I think it's one of those kind of forgotten gems. So I love that you lifted it, Todd. Even though that's not the segment, but I love that you lifted it, because I haven't thought about that in years. But I loved it. It was another one of those cable films I got to see a lot growing up. I think it's really kind of delicious. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool to hear. Yeah.
All right.
Obviously, I own it on Blu-ray. What's yours, Tracy?
I wanted to hear what Tim had to say. I have a feeling I know what Todd's going to say. Because, again, Tim has like an Elvis centric novel coming up and brought this amazing thing. So I want to know what Tim thinks. You guess goes first, with the great Baz Luhrmann bringing Austin Butler to the conversation. Tom Hanks, the Colonel, which we have invoked a couple times tonight, and Austin Butler doing Elvis. I think he's almost out of the accent now. Do it be bad, be best? Is he Elvis? What was your take on this?
Best. I saw that. I saw that with my daughter, who's about 17 now, and we went in the theater. And before the credits had ended, we were like, "This is amazing!" I was so happy. I thought this is just the director for this film because it was so big,
kinetic.
Yes, and it was just like. It was just Elvis. It was just so big that I wanted to see, because I'm one of the few people that is a big. I'm a Vegas Elvis guy. I really like his later stuff. I mean, I really do. So I love that. I was not a huge Colonel.
Yeah.
I didn't think he did the best. I didn't think Tom was that great, but he wasn't terrible. What did you think?
I thought I thought it was one of his least good performances. That's nice. I didn't buy him at all, and I thought it was a weird.
Tom Hanks in this?
I thought it was a weird misstep, and this will indulge me because this might seem weird. I don't think we needed Diane English to remake The Women, because that was at a certain time, and I think modern remake failed. But in a big part, and I love all the actresses. I love Annette Bening. I think it's atrocious she hasn't won an Oscar. But when she played kind of the great bitch in The Women remake and wanted to be likable, I was like, no, you've missed the assignment. And I think sometimes stars who help you get financed want to be liked as opposed to playing the role. And that was how I felt about Tom Hanks in this. I'm like, you're still trying to be liked as Tom Hanks, but I'm like, the Colonel, I agree with you. I don't think we need to love the Colonel.
Yeah,
so I thought disconnect. And when you cast somebody who's like everybody's favorite, I thought it was a wrong casting move. The way we talked about before the show, I was like, I'm never going to believe that Ryan O'Neal is the best Barry Lyndon.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a rare misstep for Tom Hanks, but that's just me.
Austin Butler.
Your thoughts?
So you're a be bad on that, Tracy. You're a be bad on your own.
I'm a beep.
I'm sorry. Well, I really was.
But I like the rest. I liked the pomp and circumstances, but I didn't think Hanks was right. I thought he counterbalanced it. And Austin, I don't know. I didn't get him as Elvis, but I liked everything else, which is a weird thing to say. But I'm the girl that likes Ally McBeal but hates Callista Flockhart's character.
I will never in my life see this movie.
And ladies and gentlemen, Todd is working on forming an opinion. My partner.
That's all I have for you. I've seen Austin Butler movies since. And
Next.
I'm currently thinking I'm right. All right, here we go. Let's do When Bad Films Happen to Good Actors. Tracy, what do you got? What's a bad film that happened to an actor?
I'm going to go with something that's still droning on in the theaters. I love Mid-Century.
Oh, no.
I grew up reading certain comic books. I have a massive Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal love. And I really am sad to report I did not like the Fantastic Four. I think everybody in it is fabulous. This cast, all of them, I want to work with. All of them, by the way, I think did their job and then some. I think they give gorgeous performances and a beautifully set, decorated film that I think fails on every level. And I don't say that lightly because I want these things to succeed, because this one tried to be beyond the usual Marvel, but I don't know. It bummed me out because I like everybody in it. And I thought, well, this is an example of every actor in this I love, and I love the look, but it's just a dumb plot. So that's my thing. Todd,
are you asking me or Tim?
No, either one. Like
Tim, what's your? Did you see this?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, and I'm just really upset to hear that it's so bad.
It
I wasn't-
I haven't seen it either, and everyone I know personally who has seen it says they don't like it.
It cratered. This first week it did really well. Second week it fell 66%, which is like, we don't love you. Anyway, next, Todd, what's yours?
Mine is a 80s film. It's a military themed comedy, and I don't think either of the lead actors or any of the supporting actors deserved the script the studio forced them to do. It's called Best Defense.
Oh my God, I remember this.
Oh God, yeah.
It's just such a bad movie. I have it on DVD, as you can see.
Yeah.
I'm like a huge early Eddie Murphy guy.
Yeah.
So and Dudley Moore too. That era of Dudley Moore. I mean, like Arthur and all those.
Yeah.
Like so good, and like, wow, how could this fail?
Yeah.
And it's because the screenplay is just there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening.
Bizarre idea. I've seen it. It's different periods, and then it has to. Oh God, yeah. Yeah. The defense. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I mean, maybe there was like some cool thing buried in there somewhere, but it got so many studio notes because it was anti-military, and they can't be that entirely. You know, they messed it up. All right. Do you want to do wrap this up with a positive note?
I do, because I got about 2 minutes before, sadly, I have to
All
jump.
right, we're doing the booth.
All right.
Quickly, this is like the 36th anniversary of The Abyss. He made your heart pound with The Terminator. He then stopped it with Aliens. Now writer-director James Cameron presents the summer's most original adventure, The Abyss, summer of '89, when studios said, hey, most original, that's what we should lead with. Now everyone's like, IP, remake, reboot.
I just got the 4K. It's
so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. I was a teenage film projectionist in high school. I got to do this in the summer of '89. I was like, fuck you. I hate Batman. Fight me on it. And I just felt like, and I don't like Last Crusade. I guess, guys, when fathers and sons fuck the same Nazi, I can't. So anyway, moving on. But The Abyss in the summer of '89 was my movie, and it led me to write letters to Galen Hurd, who I would work with, and I was so fortunate to run her development for 4 years, and my mentor. I think The Abyss is exquisite. I think the 4K reboot of the director's cut is the last Cold War era back before. Now we have a new Cold War, because anyway, I don't want to talk about an orange, circus peanut president. I mean, it's a hypothetical. I'm not saying anyone specifically, but I think it's gorgeous. Get the thing. It's wonderful. And I wanted to boost it because it's the anniversary today when it came out in the summer of '89. And if you haven't seen it recently, now you can finally see it properly because the 4K has been released. And a lot of us fans have been waiting for 35 years to see it.
Yeah.
I own it like Todd does. Wanted to say
I don't think it's a great movie. I just like it because the effects were so groundbreaking at the time visually.
Changed everything.
And they're still cool looking. But here's mine. I never miss a chance. Talk about a military comedy worth watching. I never miss a chance to boost. Private Benjamin with Goldie Hawn.
Good.
Amazing.
Perfect movie. Never been properly released on physical media.
Great
film. No notes. Perfect film.
Great film.
Goldie Hawn. People always remember because it's funny when she's in the army, but the last half of the film, that Armand Assante is an asshole because he takes Goldie, it's in her name, and makes her a redhead. Not a good look. Mm-hmm. And the happy ending in that film is Goldie Hawn leaving him at the altar going, I choose myself. I challenge any major studio in the year 2025 of our Lord to do something in kind. I think it's amazing. Nancy Meyers, thank you for writing that. Even if Charles Shire just did cheat on you, we know the Nancy Meyers lines are there. And just to put it back into, the film we talked about tonight, Goldie Hawn has these lines in Private Benjamin, when they give her khaki. Do these come in any other colors? I mean, I saw the sailboats and the thing.
They're great.
And I feel like you can't talk about Eileen. You can't talk about Private Benjamin without giving Eileen Brennan, who got supporting actress nomination.
She's amazing.
fabulous in that role. I think it's an epic. I think it's amazing. I think it's two films in one that actually work, comedy and drama. And Goldie Hawn, who produced it and developed the script based on her idea for the age. Goldie Hawn, Todd and I know we need Goldie Hawn on
more Hawn. Get the Goldie Hawn box set going.
Goldie
Tim,
Hawn.
Is there anything you'd like to plug?
I got a boost. And I will mention ahead of time, this guy is a friend of mine, but so this is Chain Reaction.
Oh yes,
the Keanu Reeves, Morgan Freeman movie.
No, this is the documentary on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's coming out on the 18th, which is next Friday, I believe. And they're going to be doing it for one night. They're going to have the film and then the documentary right afterwards, which I saw at the Egyptian a little while ago. And it was really amazing to see them back to back. But it's this incredible documentary, and they've got 5 people talking about it. And I know 3 of them. I know Patton Oswalt did it.
Oh.
Stephen King, 3 other amazing horror directors or writers that talk about the film, and it's just incredible. It's just a really great, and the print. It's really great. They have all these different print, like some that you've watched like in a college they've watched in a college film dorm somewhere. You know what I mean? And It's just crap. It's just like every scratched and yellowed and everything. And others just 4K. It's so good. It's so wonderful. So anyway, you've got to see it if you can get a chance.
I want to see it. I can't wait.
Amazing. And I think a great thing, PDE, Shitty just got serious. I can't do better than that, which is why PDE is a great writer and director. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Tim, thanks for bringing this movie.
Very fun.
This is something that I'm a little embarrassed I hadn't seen before. My mom loved Elvis. One of my earliest childhood memories. I think I was like 5 when he died, and I remember her calling her beloved brother Jack, and she was so upset. And I remember her calling, and wasn't used to seeing my mom cry. She was very Ripley prototype, and she was like, "This is the end of the era. It's the end of my youth. The whole thing." And I was just like, I remember how hurt she was because she loved Elvis so much. And so when you brought I think I've seen most of his films. This is one of the few I hadn't seen, and I thought it was so cool because I love old Hollywood, which Todd and David know, that this is a transition point and the role of the Colonel that hurt his transition, and I would argue future career, as we've talked about. It was so interesting from a history point of view, a film buff point of view, and even with the bad lip syncing or whatever, I think Juliet Prowse needs to be lifted. And I think it's like when I watch You're Living Dangerously, I've been told Sigourney and Mel did not have an affair, but they should have, because no one was more beautiful than them in the You're Living Dangerously. Behind me. Yeah. But I felt like these two people, every time she's on screen, she makes Elvis and he rises to her level. And I thought it was really hot. And that was my take. And I thought, this is cool. And I don't know that I ever would have watched this movie unless you brought it. So I just want to thank you. And come back anytime you want.
Oh, good.
And my favorite Shitty Movie fans, you have 20% off this man's novel that is anchored in Elvis goodness. He's done this for you with his publisher. It's in the comments. So everybody who watches it mostly out of time, look at the comments, get the 20% off, and buy his book. Do the thing. Thank you.
It.
Yes.
So okay, yeah. So it's it's all his damned mother's son. And it's I Kill Elvis in the first page, and then we follow and then we follow 4 men whose lives are changed by the death, and then we follow their lives throughout it from 1959 to 1973. So basically, the whole idea is that what is life without Elvis? So I think we learned that from this.
It's probably a solace. It's our desolate timeline that we're currently living.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
The answer is not for me, Austin Butler, because Elvis is singular. It's not fair to ask anyone to be Elvis because singular. We love Elvis.
I would say too, if you love Elvis and the idea of two Elvises, one Elvis who's not Elvis, like in this movie, The Meta Thing, then look up the movie The Identical.
Yes,
which is a Christian faith-based Elvis movie.
I gotta go. Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye, Tracy.
Okay, bye.
Come back.
Bye, Tim. Thank you so much.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.